TOEFL! Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck!
Please read through the directions or skip ahead. Passage number 1. Listen to a conversation between two roommates on a college campus.
Hey Maria, have you noticed the cafeteria food has been getting worse lately?
Yeah, I have. The meals have been pretty bland, and the portions seem smaller. What's been bothering you the most?
It's not just the taste, though, that's part of it. But the service has been really slow, and I always end up waiting in long lines, only to get food that's lukewarm at best. It's so frustrating when you're in a rush between classes.
Oh, I've definitely noticed that. It used to be so much faster, and I think they've cut back on staff or something.
Exactly, and they've started running out of the good stuff way too early. By the time I get there, all the decent options are gone. Yesterday, I had to settle for some weird casserole, and it wasn't even warm.
Ugh, that sounds terrible. I had something similar happen last week. They ran out of chicken, so I ended up with just vegetables and rice. It was pretty disappointing.
I'm seriously thinking of talking to someone about it, maybe leaving feedback or something. Do you think it would make a difference?
It might. I mean, they probably get a lot of complaints, but if enough students mention it, they might be forced to do something. You could also try going at a different time to avoid the rush.
I've tried that a few times, but my schedule is tight. I can't really change when I go. That's part of the problem. By the time I get there, most of the food is either gone or cold.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Maybe you could try packing some snacks to get you through the day, so you don't have to rely on the cafeteria as much.
That's actually a good idea. I could do that for the days when I know the cafeteria is going to be a mess. I'll just need to plan ahead a bit more.
Yeah, I think it would help. And honestly, you're probably not the only one upset about this. If you talk to some other students, you might be able to gather enough feedback to make a real case to the cafeteria management.
I guess it wouldn't hurt to try. I'm just so fed up with wasting my time and money on food that isn't even good.
I hear you. But maybe in the meantime, just take it one day at a time and bring snacks or eat somewhere else when you can.
And I'll do that. Thanks, Maria. You always have good advice.
Anytime, let me know how it goes.
What problem is the student having? Why does Janice feel this way about the cafeteria food? What is Maria's advice to Janice? What does Janice say about her class schedule? What does Maria imply when she says this?
You're probably not the only one upset about this.
Passage number 2. Listen to part of a talk in a biology class.
Now, the process through which plants convert light energy, usually from the sun, into chemical energy stored in glucose is a remarkable thing. This process is essential not only for plants, but also for the entire ecosystem, as it forms the basis of most food chains. Plants absorb sunlight using a pigment called chlorophyll, primarily found in the leaves. Through a series of chemical reactions, the energy from sunlight is used to convert carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil into glucose, which provides energy and growth for the plant. Oxygen is released as a byproduct, which is crucial for life on Earth as it replenishes the oxygen we breathe. Photosynthesis occurs in two main stages: the light-dependent reactions and the Calvin cycle. In the light-dependent reactions, sunlight is absorbed by chlorophyll and used to produce ATP and NADPH, molecules that store energy. These reactions take place in the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplasts. The ATP and NADPH produced are then used in the Calvin cycle, which takes place in the stroma of the chloroplasts, to synthesize glucose from carbon dioxide. It's important to note that while photosynthesis is essential, it doesn't occur all the time. For instance, at night or in low-light environments, plants can't perform photosynthesis because sunlight is absent. However, they do store excess glucose produced during the day for use when photosynthesis isn't possible. Lastly, beyond just providing food for the plants, photosynthesis plays a vital role in maintaining atmospheric balance. Plants act as a carbon sink, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This not only helps reduce greenhouse gases, but also moderates the global temperature. In short, without photosynthesis, life as we know it would not exist.
What was the lecture mainly about? According to the professor, what are some essential elements involved in photosynthesis? What was the professor's attitude toward the importance of photosynthesis for life on Earth? According to the professor, what happens during the Calvin cycle? What is an example of a byproduct of photosynthesis mentioned in the lecture? What does the professor imply about plants performing photosynthesis at night? Passage number 3. Listen to a conversation between a student and an academic advisor.
Hi, I wanted to ask for some help with registering for my classes. I've run into some trouble and I'm worried I might not get the schedule I need.
Sure, I can help with that. What's the problem?
I need to register for Calculus 2 to stay on track for my major, but when I tried to sign up, it said the class was full.
Oh, I see. That's a required course for many programs, so it fills up quickly. Did you try joining the waitlist?
Yes, I did, but I'm worried that I might not get in. There's a long list of students ahead of me.
Understandable. Being on the waitlist can be stressful. If this is a class you absolutely need for next semester, you might also consider talking to the professor. Sometimes they can grant an override if they see there's a genuine need.
I hadn't thought of that. I'll try contacting the professor, but what if they still can't make room?
Well, there's also the option of seeing if there's a Calculus 2 section open at a nearby community college. Many students take required classes at other schools and transfer the credits back here.
That might work. I hadn't considered that either.
I'd also recommend checking back with the registration portal periodically. Sometimes students drop classes, which could open up a spot for you.
Good idea. I'll keep checking and I'll reach out to the professor. Thanks so much for the suggestions.
No problem. If neither of those options works out, feel free to come back, and we'll see if there are any other possibilities.
Will do. Thanks again.
What does the student want to talk about? Why does the advisor think the class was full? Why is the student concerned about the wait list? What is suggested to the student to help them register for the class? What does the student decide to do? Passage number 4. Listen to a lecture in an economics class.
Now, as we continue our discussion on inflation, it's crucial to understand not just what inflation is, but also its broader impacts on the economy. Inflation is defined as the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises, eroding purchasing power. One of the primary concerns with inflation is that it disproportionately affects lower-income households, who spend a larger percentage of their income on essential goods. To structure our discussion, I will first explain the causes of inflation, followed by its effects on various economic sectors. Then, I'll address some common misconceptions about inflation, particularly the idea that it's always a bad thing. While moderate inflation can encourage spending and investment, hyperinflation can lead to significant economic instability. For instance, consider the recent inflationary trends observed in various countries. One issue with rising inflation is that it can lead to increased interest rates as central banks attempt to control inflation. Additionally, businesses may face higher costs, which can lead to layoffs or reduced hiring. As we progress, I'll highlight the potential long-term effects of sustained inflation, such as wage stagnation and the widening of economic inequality. Understanding these dynamics is essential for any future policy-making efforts. So, why are policymakers particularly concerned about inflation at this moment? It's because the current rate of inflation is higher than we have seen in decades, raising fears of a potential recession. Furthermore, the disruption caused by global supply chains due to recent events has made it even harder to predict future trends. Finally, why does this matter? The professor has emphasized that understanding inflation's complexities allows us to better prepare for economic challenges and supports more informed decisions by consumers and businesses alike. As we look to the future, a comprehensive understanding of these issues is critical for all of us in economics.
What is the lecture mainly about? How does the professor structure the lecture? What does the professor say are some issues with inflation? Why are policymakers particularly concerned about inflation at this moment? Why does the professor discuss the complexities of inflation? What is the professor's attitude toward understanding inflation? Passage number 5. Listen to a lecture in a business class.
So, as we've discussed some basics of business expansion, I'd like to delve into specific strategies for entering international markets. When businesses want to expand globally, they have several options, each with unique challenges and advantages. Today, I'll discuss 3 main strategies: exporting, joint ventures, and wholly owned subsidiaries. Let's start with exporting. It's often the simplest way to reach new markets, since it involves selling products directly from the home country to another. But there are significant issues to consider, such as tariffs, shipping costs, and possible product regulations in the target country. These can impact profits if not carefully managed. Next, joint ventures involve partnering with a company in the target market, sharing resources and local knowledge. This can reduce risks because the local partner understands the market better. However, conflicts in decision-making and profit sharing can arise, which is one reason joint ventures sometimes fail. Finally, a wholly owned subsidiary is where a business sets up its own operations abroad. This is the costliest strategy, but can give a company full control over its brand and operations in the target country. Setting up such an operation, however, requires understanding local laws, tax policies, and cultural differences to avoid potentially costly mistakes. Each of these strategies requires different levels of commitment, investment, and risk, so companies often decide based on their resources and long-term goals. And why do these decisions matter? Well, choosing the right strategy can mean the difference between long-term success and costly failure in an unfamiliar market.
What is the lecture mainly about? What is the professor's attitude about the topic? What does the professor say are some issues with joint ventures? How does the professor organize the lecture? What was the order in which the professor discussed the strategies? What does the professor imply when she says this?
Choosing the right strategy can mean the difference between long-term success and costly failure.
This is your answer key for passages 1 through 5. Remember to focus on the main ideas and tone of the lecture. Understanding the speaker's perspective will help you choose the right answers. Take notes on key details and listen for any changes in topic. These cues will guide you through each question and improve your overall score.